Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of Talk. And on today's show, I have guest Niclas Ernst. Why don't you introduce yourself, Nick?
Hi everyone. So I'm Niclas. I'm a 17-year-old creative from Cologne in Germany. And why am I here today, Ryan?
You're here because I have nothing better to do. No. That's not it. But I really just wanted to, the point of the show is to really introduce young, talented creatives from across the world, and it's just a way for people to elevate themselves and kind of just introduce themselves. I keep saying themselves, but just introduce them and really tell the world about who they are and kind of what they love to do. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show. You're a pretty talented designer for only being 17 years old, and you already have like 4 or 5 years of experience, I'd say, or a little less. I don't know, give or
Yeah,
take.
definitely. It's it's about 4 years now. So I've started making my first experiences when I was 11, but I really got started in design when I got my first copy of Photoshop when I was 13. And since then, it's really been a journey. And I mean, quite recently, I've started working with a couple of agencies, which is, I think, really good at the age of 17 to already have made these connections. And I've been freelancing for pretty much 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean, just having the opportunity to, be so young and have the opportunity to work at any kind of agency is big in itself. Not many people have that opportunity. And I think that, you're already off to a fantastic start, and like there's so much more for you to do. But let's kind of go back to like how you started. Like, what made you pick up Photoshop? Like, what was the whole reasoning behind that? Like, what really started this?
All right. So the story behind that is, I think, uh, first I have to say that obviously there's like something like creative in me. So like I've already been kind of the creative child. Like I love drawing, and I already like had like such a great time in kindergarten, always doing creative stuff. But I really got into graphic design because of the YouTube community. Because when I was about 10 or 11, I started watching lots of YouTube videos, and also lots of like gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never really a gamer myself. But essentially, what got me into design initially was that I was watching a YouTuber who's also like a gaming YouTuber doing let's plays and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he made tutorials on how to make YouTube backgrounds. So he
Back
was
when
kind of
YouTube was
sharing his
good, right?
knowledge. Exactly. When there was like still the old layout that like offered loads of different options for people to customize.
I want to
And
touch on that point real quick. Like, I think YouTube's like UI right now is decent. It's okay, but
yeah,
I think what they had initially, like, I think that really separated, YouTubers back then. Like,
yeah,
you could
definitely.
really, you could treat it as like a website page, because
Yeah,
it really let the brand of whoever, was making videos really expand and really show off who they are. And now it's kind of like super restrictive. And now instead of it being like about the YouTuber in particular, now it just feels like, oh, it's, they're a YouTuber on this website. They don't feel very special.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. Just wanted
definitely.
to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean that's also something that kind of comes from this minimalism that everyone's striving for, right?
Hmm.
Because as you go towards like a minimalistic approach, you always have to go into like a generic kind of look, right? Because
Yeah.
like as much restriction as there is, there's only so much room for creativity, right?
Yeah.
Now, where was I? Like, okay, YouTube. So um, I was watching this YouTube tutorial, and I was like, yeah, I want to try that out, right? So I got like a trial of Photoshop, and I remember like that was 30 days or something, and I downloaded it again on a different email after that 30 days. So I had like 60 days of Photoshop experience when I was 11. And then when I got my first MacBook at 12, I knew that I really wanted to install Photoshop. So I got that with the money I got for my 13th birthday. So basically, what I did then was kind of like just trying out and playing around in Photoshop until I kind of got back into like YouTube and started watching speed arts and like people creating stuff on YouTube. So I got into that like creative community on YouTube, which is where I met most of the people that I also like network nowadays with, right? So like you or people that are in lightsaber, which is also something that came from that community and like went beyond that.
Yeah,
right.
And I think most of the people that that will probably be on this show, I think really came from this sort of background. All of us, or all of us in this community, were kind of born from the internet, and it's kind of funny how something so simple as video games can turn into something so much more, and that's generally how most of us ended up doing graphic design and that kind of stuff for a career. And if you told me, hey, you're going to be working at the largest media company in the world like 5 years ago, I'm like, you're crazy. Like you're actually like making a living off doing graphic design. I would have never thought that. And so I think that all of us that have been within this community are like extremely fortunate, and I think a lot of us are going to be making some powerful moves in the next few years.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the internet is really what enables people like us to be creative, right? Because there's so much opportunity out there, and obviously, since we're kind of the generation that has the most or kind of access to these types of media, we are also like the ones that are kind of using that to their advantage, right? So I mean, basically, today anyone can start doing what he wants just through like the means of internet and like globalization and networking, and I think that's really great. It offers lots of amazing opportunities, especially for us young people, because we're like really good with like the internet, like in terms of using it to our advantage. And I mean, I think there's lots to come because it's also like changing so rapidly.
And I think like also like the advantage that we have, say, over someone that's just that went to school for graphic design or is going to school for graphic design and really didn't do much of it beforehand. I think just having that advantage in itself is huge, because not many people are able to like have that real world experience. Like most people or most young creatives who are going to school, at the first freelance jobs they have, they're at local shops in their local towns and that kind of stuff, and they're not really big, but being on the internet like can have so many opportunities, because you don't have to like work with like some small place in your small town. You can work with any kind of company on with any type of medium. So like if you go to design school, you're kind of honed into like a few different like mediums. So like if you wanted to do motion graphics, like that's something you would kind of have to go to school for separately. But the internet, like you could have you could follow that career and then also do like graphic design. There's like so many different things that the internet has to offer that I think that a lot of people that don't really take advantage of, and that's why sometimes it in the end it's kind of hard for people to get jobs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, design education in itself is also something that kind of like, obviously since I'm 17, I'm usually at the stage where you have to kind of look out and find out what you want to do in life. And right now, basically a question that I personally have is, do I even want to go to like design school or a university for design? Because right now I'm happy with my situation, right? I have an amazing job at like an agency, obviously only part-time, since I also have to attend school during like the like other half of the day. And I mean, this really makes me wonder, does it even matter if I go to design school right now? Because if I finish school, I can just continue with that job because people value me, right? And I'm 17 and I get the results and I get the job done. And basically, what is design education really worth nowadays is, I think, one of the like bigger questions that we're asking ourselves. Essentially, for myself, this is like really evident in my current like idea of what I want to do in life, because I really want to study, but I don't know if I want to study design, right?
Yeah.
Even though I want to become a designer.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that like it's always going to be for, especially for creatives, it's always going to be one of those debated topics of, do I go to school, or do I just go out there? And it's all about your position, and like what have you done, and what do you plan to get done. So like for our sake, like for you, going to school may not be an option because you don't really need it. Like you already have 4 or 5 years of freelance experience, and um that in itself could be enough, but other people don't have the opportunity like us. So they kind of need that degree to kind of push themselves forward. Now that's I kind of felt in between them. Like I didn't feel like I needed to go to school, but I wanted to go to school so I could have that, so I could have a degree that says, hey, I do take what I'm doing very seriously, and I want to have some legitimacy to what I'm doing.
Mm.
But that's also why I didn't go to a 4-year school. I only went to a 2-year school, just so I could say, hey, I have my degree, and I also have 5 years of freelance experience. I didn't feel like I needed to waste my time or money going to a 4-year school because it just wasn't
Mm.
needed. And I think
Yeah.
that really shows, especially in a rare chance, like, or a rare occasion like me, where I only have a 2-year degree, but the current job that I have when I got it, required a 4-year degree plus like 5 years of experience, like in-house experience, not freelance experience, but like in-house. And I just graduated school, and I didn't have a 4-year bachelor's degree, and I also didn't have 5 years of in-house design experience. But they were able to look past that and be like, wow, this guy can make good work and actually have good results and that kind of stuff. And I think that in itself, like people get too hung up on the degree. While a degree can be important, I think people rely on it too much. It's all about what you can provide to that company or to that person. And it's always going to be a push back and forth on, do I get a degree or do I not? Do I just do freelance, or do I go in-house? And whatever it may be, it's always going to be back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, we're kind of working in a field that doesn't require it, right? Because
Hmm.
as long as you get people what they want, like not only in design but also other fields that are like not necessarily like medicine or becoming a doctor, that always requires a degree. But all these really modern or media fields, you can always succeed if you get people what they want and if you provide value to them.
Yeah.
And I think you can't learn that at school, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that school helps you with it is like building a network and getting your portfolio done. And if you already have the network, also like the software skills, but that's really basic. I think they
Yeah.
also oftentimes you kind of require that at school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, all you have to do is know how to handle yourself. And if you have these skills in terms of software, but you're lacking the network, you should definitely go to school. But
Hmm.
if you have an amazing portfolio and you know who to contact in order to get the jobs that you want, why should you go to school, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly. Hmm.
that's kind of where value comes in, because um, in your example, but also my example of working at an agency, we both can provide value to that specific company,
Hmm.
which lets them or allows them to look past our like lack of qualification. I'm kind of, maybe lack is not the right word because we're qualified.
Yeah. I,
Like a
we're
specific
qualified, but we're
qualification.
not qualified by
Yeah.
a degree or something like that. And I think that's also something for people to think about. Like normally, like if you have the right connections and you know how to network and that kind of stuff, like the reason why I got my job at Comcast was because I knew how to network and I was visible. And I didn't even apply for that job. So like if I were to say send my resume in to get that job, first of all, my resume would never get looked at because it would just get thrown away in the pile because I didn't have that degree. I didn't have a 4-year degree. I didn't have 5 years of experience, so they wouldn't even consider me. But since I knew how to network and I was able to kind of get connected with some of the people that work there, it was able to bypass HR and that kind of stuff. And I was able just to get the interview, and they were there just to see my work. They didn't care about what school I went to. They didn't care about this and that. It was all about what I can do and how I can produce it. And I think that's that's again, people just get hung up on the degree sometimes, and it's not entirely that important. if you can produce work, then you can produce work, and people can see that value.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think that is really amazing of Comcast, right? Because I wouldn't really expect really like conservative or like big companies to have like such a process of looking at people, going out there looking for young people, and taking them in, because
Well, it wasn't even
from
that. It was just like there was an art direct. One of their art directors was on
yeah,
Dribble. He saw my work. He's like, wow,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
let's get him in for an interview and see what else he has and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't even like Comcast as a whole. It was just like, say I saw you online, I'm like, wow, let's you're pretty good, let's get him in for an interview, that type of thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, what I'm experiencing personally is that a lot of the agencies that I work with, they're looking for young people like me, in like really specifically, right? They're going out looking for us because like we're essentially people that can help them to stay young, right? To kind of go with the trends and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And this is what I've experienced, for example, with like a Cologne-based agency that I've done some freelance work for, but also the agency that I work with right now, because they are allowing me, a 17-year-old, to work from home, and they are really trusting me in like solving problems for their clients. And I think this is really amazing. But obviously for them, it's also a great opportunity to work with young people and to ensure that they can like kind of take part in that like talent, right?
Yeah.
That is like growing from the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of companies also kind of, sometimes people are afraid of bringing in young talent. Some people think, oh, they're gonna take jobs or whatever it may be, and that kind of stuff. But I think young creatives can provide so much for a company, or even just a single art department. I think people shouldn't be afraid about the next generation. As designers, we gotta help each other. I mean, like, we're all here to creatively solve problems. We're all not, so like, I always see people like trying to like kind of push away the younger creatives and that kind of stuff, and they should really be like being mentors to them and elevating them, because if you want to continue this legacy of design, however you may see it or want it to look like, you really need to teach that younger generation. And I think that's important, and some companies are starting to realize that, because it's so important to want a company's image, and also to just like how a company operates and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I think is that in design there's not such a huge advantage as you grow older, right? Because like design is always such a dynamic thing, and it changes so rapidly. Like, we're already looking at the next few years where it is becoming really important to work with like artificial intelligence and stuff like that, to kind of solve these design problems. And if you look back, someone who's been working in print design like for 30 years, but now we're looking at such a like digital future, he's becoming like or he's being grown out of like a certain field, because the amount of print work that is being done is obviously like less required than like the digital stuff is, because it's becoming more important now.
Yeah. And I think print is dying, but I also don't think it is. Like, I think right now, I think it's actually coming back relatively strong. While it may not be widely used as it used to be, print, like, say 15, 20 years ago, I think creatively, I think print in its now current stage is actually growing really well. And I think, while the outside, when I say outside world, I mean like normal people see print dying, I think for creatives, it's, kind of like a new beginning in a way. And
Definitely, yeah.
personally, like, I think it's been great just seeing, what people have been able to do with print. And like, because while things are, yes, becoming more digital, that's also helping print in a way too. Coming so along with your freelance experience as well as some of your in-house experience, we've also worked on a few projects at Lightsaber. Why don't you talk a little bit more about that and kind of run us through what Lightsaber is and who's on it?
All right, so Lightsaber essentially is a network of young people that are connected, like basically everyone's somewhere around the world. And we're really like a global network. So it's people like you and me, young designers, mostly under 21. But
Yeah, I'm the oldest
I think
one.
Hashim, yeah, I think Hashim is also like a bit older. But
Who? Wait, who?
Hashim,
Really?
yeah, I think he's like 22 or something. I don't know.
I thought he was like
I'm not gonna
19.
I'm not gonna get into that. Well, all right, so where do I pick up? All right, Lightsaber essentially has the goal of bringing together like-minded people that like essentially designers, developers, young creatives that are trying to work more industry-oriented. So basically, Paulo and I, Paulo has been a friend of mine since we first met in like 2013 or 14, I don't know. But basically, we've been online friends for a really long time, and I've already been staying at his place a couple
Whoa.
of times. Yeah, like I was there during like summer holiday. Did
Nice,
that come
nice.
across wrong? I
No,
don't
just
know. All
continue. I'm
right,
just joking.
all right. All right. So basically, our plan or our idea initially was to connect young people and kind of combine skill sets and like experience in order to work on projects together, bringing in projects and sharing them with others from around the world, and kind of giving everyone the experience of working with others, and also obviously as a network. It's always good to have people somewhere, people that you can outsource to, and this is what we've been doing for over a year now.
Yeah, I think lightsaber in itself is so cool just because we all have known each other for like 3 years, and we've all had freelance work before, but we really wanted a way to kind of combine all of our skills to produce larger projects and really hone in on creating that studio like feel. Even though we're not really a studio, we're really just
Yeah.
trying to give the chance to younger people to see what it feels like to work in a larger team and on various different projects and how those roles might work. And I think a lot of us are kind of fortunate for that, just because we're able to work on so many different projects. And like you said before, everyone on Lightsaber is from a different country. I don't think one person like from another is in the same country, right? Is that right? I think.
No, it's not, because like Julius is from Germany as well, but I
Okay.
think besides that,
Yeah, everyone else is from another
um,
country.
yeah,
And
and
I
I
think,
think that's really amazing. And
yeah.
what you just said basically about having the opportunity to work in a team, that is really important. And I don't think, because we've talked about like the internet and basically coming from the internet as a designer, and I think what we're all lacking is working in a team. And if you haven't worked like at a company or basically at a design agency, you don't really have the experience of collaborating
Hmm.
on larger projects. And this is really what Lightsaber is trying to create. And I think so far it's been working really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so cool. And like, I, put when I was out looking for jobs and stuff, I put lightsaber on my resume, and they're like, a lot of people were like, wow, you've worked with a lot of people from around the world and different companies and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but to
I'm like,
me,
yeah.
yeah, but to me, it didn't, like, since all of us were kind of born from the internet, it didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary for me. Just working with people from all over was just something that was just a part of my daily routine and that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of us are fortunate for that, because not many people have the opportunity to work with so many different people from many from other countries, and have different companies and mediums and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really awesome that
I mean,
we're able to create that environment.
yeah, going back to that kind of feeling natural, right? I often have this kind of situation where people say, "Oh, you're 17 and you work at a design agency. How'd you get there?" And I think a lot of people, especially at my school, they didn't really have the same internet experience as you or me, or a lot of other people that are just not in the same place but kind of globally connected have had, because basically the internet really, like, everyone uses it differently, and I've always seen opportunity in it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't really get that, and obviously to them it seems really extraordinary to have a job at 17 and to be doing something that some people are studying and still not done at like 23.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, you know, I think the niche of us, like the people that were the creators that were born from the internet, I think there's like, while there's a lot of us, it's also a very small percentage of us that have this opportunity. And I think everyone falls into that same category where, like, I had that same situation where a lot of people at my school, you know, they were just always kind of just like, you know, why do you do this, or why do you do that? And it's just because, you know, we've had that extra experience online. And it's not just because one's better than the other, it's just because all of us that's just how we were started.
It's a different perspective.
It's a completely different perspective, and it's not that, you know, one person's better than the other, it's just one took a different approach from another person, and it just ended up working out in the end. You know, none of us are special. I mean, some people could call us nerds that sit down all day inside their house, but, you know, we're so much more than that. But you kind of get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, definitely.
And I think lightsaber, like I said, it's just such a cool opportunity for all of us to kind of work on these projects and have because sometimes, like, again, as I said before, like, working with all these other people from all across the country and the world and all that stuff doesn't seem that special to me. So, like, now that we're talking about it and you take a step back and you think about it, you're like, wow, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. Whenever I kind of start reflecting on what I'm actually doing here, it always kind of amazes me. But then again, I just get back to work and finish that stuff, right? So that's really, I mean, it's really interesting. And I think from the outside, it might seem weird or even cool, but I mean, it's really just doing whatever the fuck you want to do right now. And for me, that's always been design. So I've been designing, right?
Yeah, and I think that's just so awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really it. I think we're probably gonna wrap it up here. Again, Nick, thanks for coming on and sitting down and talking.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll be producing more series and episodes in the future. If you want to go check out any of Nick's stuff, his Twitter, Instagram, Dribbble, Behance, all those will be in the description down below for you guys to go check out and see what Nick has to offer. Again, thanks, Nick, for coming on. And yeah, that's it, guys. Say goodbye, Nick.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.